Hi, it's Teresa with Crafty with Teresa. Thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today's video is a part of a fun craft collaboration with Dbeescrafts on YouTube. And we're both starting with the same idea, a tag sketch, and using it as a jumping off point to create our own designs. Before we begin, let's take a look at the tag sketch that inspired today's cards. Sketches are one of my favorite tools in card making because they give you a structure while still leaving you tons of room for creativity. Today, I'll turn this one sketch into 3 completely different card designs, and I'll be using a few Stampin' Up! Products along the way.
So enough of my chatting, let's get to crafting.
My first card, I used Homemade Sweetness Designer Series paper. The patterns in this paper are so cheerful and fun, and they work beautifully for translating the layers of a sketch onto a card front. This is a great example of how a sketch can be adapted while still keeping the original layout inspiration.
Taking a look at these papers, this is perfect for what we want to do in our card sketch today. You've got the side that has a lot of busy, but you know what? That busy is going to work for us today. Then you flip it over and look at all the muted side. By the way, I have more uses. If you've been watching me, I have more uses for some of these muted sides, and one of these is exactly what I'm looking for a preschool layout. I mentioned it in my last video, so stay tuned. So we know that we're going to need 3 circles in the middle. So I'm going to show you a couple different things that I do in situations like this. A lot of times when if I'm making duplicates, which I already mentioned earlier that I'm going to be making 3 of these. So when I'm going to be making duplicates, I go ahead and create a template. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a template that I created depending on what supplies you have. For example, I have in the textured dies that we're going to talk about in just a minute, I have these circles. They're just a little bit large. So I wanted these to be a little smaller because in the designer paper that we're going to be working with, I used the smaller jars. So I don't want my circles to be that big. So I'm going to create this template so that I can use either the circles that I cut out, or I can use this template on a white willow piece of cardstock and color in those circles if need be, or just make sure that we line them up so that things can line up with it as we want it to be. So let me explain to you what I mean by that. So here's how I created this template. I've started it already, but I wanted to give you an idea of what the process that I went through to create this. So I cut this piece of white willow down to 3 3/4 and intentionally cut it at 5 1/4, because if I'm not happy with the way the template is lining up on each side, I can quickly cut off sides, this side and this side. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be in the middle by doing it here, so I'm not as concerned here, but if I don't like it, I can cut that off. And of course, we'll erase that line. So the first thing I did is I took my T-ruler. I'll take this away, but eventually you'll see what I'm going to do with that. I took my T-ruler and I looked for about a midway point. I'm pretty close here, but again, we can cut off sides if need be, because this is our design. We're creating it based on a little bit of a sketch, and then we can modify it as we need to. So what I did is I looked for pretty close to the center there. I lined up my die. This is one I had in my stash, but I will tell you that there are several dies that are available, and I will put that information in the description box for you. So I lined up these dies. Then I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to lightly do a little circle here. Then I wanted to show you a little bit about how I moved on from there. Oh, I did draw my line down. Okay. Now I know that I want a little bit of good spacing on here. And then I need to figure out how to line this up every single time so that it looks pretty close to the middle. Again, can be adjusted. So what I did, I'll try to do this up here. I tend to do it down here because it's easier for me. But I took my T-ruler and I lined it up. Now I am a removable tape person, so I'm going to tape my card base down. Card panel, I should say. So what I did is I lined it up here. And so now I know this is about 3/4 of the way down. It's really closer to an inch, but remember, we're cutting a little bit off of that. So I'm going to go 3/4 of the way up here, and I'm going to look, and you can see I've already started trying to do that, but I didn't quite finish it because I wanted to show you this little technique. Line it up using your T-ruler. Everything is all lined up. We know that this is straight. We've lined it up with this line. What we're going to do is we're going to take our circle and we're going to line it up pretty close to, we're going to go 1, 2, 3. So we're going to go around there. We're going to line this up. You see here that I've started to do it, and I may change my mind. So we'll just set it right up against our T-ruler. Okay. Then we're going to tape this down so that we know it's not going to wiggle on us. We're going to draw our little circle here. And that looks too far away. So if you'll look here, you can see I'm still pretty close to here, but I'm not quite there. So we're going to move it down a little bit further and try it again. The problem is this is not truly the size. This is going to be the size that we're working with. That's okay. There's a will, there's a way. We lined it up here. Now we want this to be touching, so we're going to line it up. And now we're just going to take our T-ruler and move that up a little bit, because we know we want that inside to be the one that touches that. Now we can line it up here. We'll move it as close as we can to the middle. We can always erase and redo. I'm just getting this kind of set up so that we can easily put this back in. And there you have it. Now what we'll do is we'll take these, we'll run it through our die cut machine and have this template ready to go. This could be one, or this could just be what we need for our design. But I will probably create this template and use it going forward, because we're going to take this blending tool and this stamp pad, and we're going to actually go lightly on the inside of that for our card. And we'll be right back. Now you can see here's our template, and you can see that there's a little bit more space here than here. They're lined up pretty well, and so I don't think we have to cut too much off the side, but we can. We can either use this as our template, or we can actually use this onto a card. So what we'll do is we'll end up cutting some of this off to kind of be a little bit more in a line there, and you didn't have to worry about too much measuring. Now I wanted to show you that these are the circles. They're still got the pencil marks on there. I wanted to show you that these are the circles that came out of here. Now you have one card. This card can be used, and I'll show you the paper that I'm planning on using it with. That can be one card. Number 2 card, we'll come back to this in a minute. Number 2 card can be like this. Actually, what we would do, obviously, is so pretend like we've erased that. The miracle of videoing. I could just fast forward, but kind of like we erased that. Now we could take this, again, we could do this and put that in there, okay? Or last but not least, we could take this, put this onto this designer series paper and line up our, which I do not have it, it's over at my cutting area, line that back up and cut these out directly onto this page. So you actually have just got yourself prepared to do 3 cards at one time. Now I'll show you the one that we've decided to do next. Now this is the design that I chose. There's a larger design here, and I will tell you that there are lots of ways to do this. I chose this. You're going to see that I've actually cut this out because I want to save as much of this as possible for my notebook paper that's going to go on my preschool layout. So I am using this. I'm being very conservative. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go through and fussy cut everything for you, but I'm going to show you what my plan is. Here's my template. Here's my plan. I'm going to take each one of these and I'll cut one out real quick for you. Nothing fancy here, just kind of some square areas, and then I trim them up. Come around those corners and I trim them up. Now, just so that you can understand what the plan is. So here's the plan. We're going to put that little strawberry slush on the inside, so more than likely I'm going to use this design on my paper. We're going to line those up, one on each side, and the die set that comes with this suite, I don't have the suite, but the die set that comes with the suite actually cuts out a lot of these items for you. For example, it cuts out a lot of these items for you. And of course I can't find it because I'm looking for it. Oh, here we go. So remember, on this side, we use this side. And that's what's going to be on the back end side. But I wanted to show you that I do not have the die set because I don't have the suite. But what I wanted to show you is this. I have gone ahead and made cuts to mine, but these items, those dies are in that die set. So if you decide you want to make multiples of this card, I'm going to recommend that you get the die set. This is already done for you, and this paper, this is a wonderful idea from Stampin' Up! Because you can easily put your dies in there and cut multiples at one time. So wanted to let you know that that is an option. I don't have that, so mine have been fussy cut. And now let's go ahead and start putting this together. Next, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of blending to actually kind of show off the strawberry slush color. It's such a kind of a, I want it to be light, but I want enough of it that it's showing. Now I am basically going to lighten this up toward the middle. I'll start at the outside edges and light towards the middle. Pressing down, the darker I want it to be right there when I want it a little bit darker on those edges, okay? So we'll go through and we'll do this to all of them. This, by the way, once it dries, it blends nicely. You can see how already that's blending very nicely. Now I will kind of walk through this with you. I've lightly put on some tape here. If you've watched me for a while, you know that I am a fan of lightly putting this down and then going back and maybe gluing the edges depending on what we need. And we'll finish that up and we'll be ready to put this card together. Lightly do that. We'll set it down. I'll take some glue, some of my glue, and I'll go inside those edges. Tack that down. Next, This is our crushed curry paper. I'm going to take that paper, go ahead and put it right here. Let me go ahead and, before I do that, I want to line this up. I want to show you that this is the plan. So if you remember our template, we're going to take this, and once we set this down, we're going to go ahead and make this template the same size as this, okay? And then that way, all we have to do is line up our circles inside that, and now we have it lined up. So I already know that this is 3 3/4 by 5. Yes. So I will put that down. That lined up as best I can. Yes. Now, I know that I'm probably going to pop these up, but for now I'm going to lightly put them in with my removable tape. All right, now I'm going to put my removable tape there. This is exactly the same size now. That's 3 3/4 by 5. And now I'm going to stick this in here. And then I can, like I said, I have time to change my mind, which if you've watched me for a while, you know that I tend to do that. So for now, we're going to go ahead and take these inside. And the magic is, once we do that, now everything is lined up perfectly. And now we have all of our cute little designs, and I will show you how I decided I wanted them to work. On the bottom, we're going to put the little jar of honey. And next we have the jar of strawberry. Jelly or jam, I'm not sure. And this is one of the strawberries that was on that paper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have that sticking out like that. So I'm going to put my strawberry right here. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it underneath yet. I think I'll probably put it on top. So these will probably have the dimensions. And last but not least, I am going to put my mixed berry on the very top. And now the other pieces to our design show that there are pieces that are they're actually hexagon pieces, but I'm replacing them with these fruit. And I'll probably stick that underneath that. The strawberry will go here, right around our jar. And last but not least, I did grab this from the sticker sheet. So this is I'm going to remove some of the sticker from it and pop that up right here. And because it's just a portion of the bee, I'll put a little stinger there. So maybe I'll put that right there instead so that it can be seen a little bit better. Right here. And that's what that's going to look like. And then we'll get some embellishment and we'll finish off this card.
Card number 2, I wanted to create something slightly different. If you've been watching me, you know I like to throw in some different types of cards. Masculine cards would be one of those. So I used the gears and texture dies along with Nature Walk Designer Series paper. The dies add some really fun dimension and texture to the design while still following the general structure of the tag. Card 3, I'll call this my scrap paper card. I decided to dig into my scrap bin and use some leftover pattern paper pieces. Another wonderful way to stretch your supplies and use up those small pieces that are too pretty sometimes to throw away. I followed the same sketch layers but mixed and matched pattern papers and created this beautiful thinking of you card. And just like that, one simple tag sketch again turned into 3 completely unique cards, which is one of the things I love about working with sketches. I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you have a second, jump on over to Dbeescrafts channel on YouTube. I'll link the video in the description box below. It's always fun to see how other creators and crafters approach the same sketch. Now, if you get a chance, I'd love to hear from you. Which card was your favorite today? Card 1, our beautiful, cutesy fun card? Card 2, our masculine card? Or card 3, a little bit more elegant, thinking of you card? If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more card making inspiration here at Crafty with Theresa. If you're interested in any of the Stampin' Up! Products I used today, I have noted it for you in the description box below. Thank you so much for spending a little creative time with me today. And until next time, have a great day.